Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Carlos Camacho.
Thank you, everyone. I was going to start talking, but I have the pleasure of having one of the characters in the book here with me today, and I thought it would be great if he says a few words. We did change his name, so I couldn't get sued. So here he is, Ferdinand.
Wow, I turned around and there were only 3 people when I sat down. So, hi, my name is Fernando. In the book, I am represented as Ferdinand. I've known Carlos since I was 19. I'm 31 now.
His mother laughed because it's...
I'm 52. So I've known him for a very long time. There's a lot of history between us. We've been through an incredible journey. To me, the details that he's captured inside this series of books are tremendous because it's been quite incredible. There is very little that I can disproportionately announce of Carlos. He's a bit of like an orchestra, I guess. I wasn't ready for the speech, but he doesn't do anything by halves. If he says that I'm writing a book, we pretty much believe him. If he's going to be a rock star, he said on a beach one night at midnight we're playing the guitar, and 3 years later he was performing in Brazil, in Rock in Rio, which is a crowd with other bands, which is something like 300,000 people. But anyway, I'm pretty honoured to have known him, met him, I've been part of the journey, and I'm sure he's honoured to have you here and welcome. I'll let him explain the book, but I know him as a person. He's very unique. And all I'm asking you to take from the book is just be as unique for yourself. Just be yourself. And without any further ado, this is my friend Carlos, and thank you.
Yeah, sorry to put you on the spot like that. It was a bit of a last-minute thing, but firstly, I'd like to thank everyone today for coming, for not only because it's my book, but it's great to be able to support local authors, local artists, local musicians, because those people that you see that are up here, they were down there sometime. And sure, if Stephen King was doing a launch today, would be people lining up, but he also started from very down, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart, because I know that time is of the essence and you've put this time to come here. But I would try to say and encourage you to continue, if you can, go into things like this, especially out the West, because we need to get, especially not so much me, because I'm established in my job, and this is a bit of a hobby now that's gone well. But especially for the young people that are starting off, the young musicians, the young actors, the young people that are trying to do something within art, because art is extremely important, whether it's writing, painting, or anything else. Because that's one of the reasons that we're differentiated from other animals is our love of art and beauty. And with the modern world, sometimes it's relegated as not important, but it's extremely important. And so, thank you for coming, and especially to the Bonnyrigg Library. Look, the libraries have been around for centuries. Well, in the Occident anyway, at least in the Western world, at least we know for over 2,500 years, since the Athenian times and before. Many things have come and gone. And I remember when CDs came out, and when podcasts came out, and audio books came out, and I remember everyone saying, it's the end of the book, and it's not. Actually, it's strengthened it. And to come to a place like this, that is just wonderful. You have great stuff, books from wherever you want, and if it's not here, I'm sure you'll be able to find it. It's very important, especially for the young people. I'm glad to see young faces here, because for us, we've had most of our journey, but for young people, they need to take books on board, because it's very important for the soul, and it makes them better people. So thank you for coming here in all respects, not only for my book, but for supporting art and for role modelling as well. to the next generation that what's important in life. So, and thank you to Bonnyrigg Library as well for again putting on a great show. Really, we've got great space. We've had dancers. We've got food coming up, and so I appreciate that because that allows people to come. I know there's people that speak Spanish here, and I did do a bit of a Spanish one in Fairfield, so I'm just going to stick to English because there's a lot more English-speaking people. So what I'm planning to do is just read a few pages of part 2, and I thought I'd pick a part that the character Ferdinand is in, just to give you an idea a bit about part 2. And this section is pretty much the fictional author, because the book is written in third person. So even though I wrote it, the author is a guy called Alistair, who I invented, who goes to meet Charlie 8 weeks before his execution. And Charlie tells him the story of his life. Then he goes around talking to people that knew of him. One is Ferdinand, the other one's Jack, his 2 best friends, and of course his psychiatrist, Dr. Putin. So, and this is a time where Alistair is talking to Ferdinand, and he can't really make sense of who these people are. So I'll start off, and I apologise, I am going to read off my e-book, just so I can plug it. There is an e-book. Actually, there's an audio book coming, so for those who don't like reading, there's audio book of part 1, part 2 in English, coming out in about 2 months, so you can just play it, it's read to you. The Spanish one will come by the end of the year. But no, I'm reading it through here because I can actually see it and I can make it bigger. So here we go. Jack, Ferdinand and Dr. Putin all agreed that Charlie always strove for more, but not in an achievement sense or for wanting of success. It was in a stranger manner, abnormal, possibly even destructive, or at least self-destructive. It has to do with a battle between the ego and the superego, Dr. Putin explained. I don't want to get all Freudian with you, but I suspect the so-called research you have done has probably got to do more with psychoanalysis. Now someone sent me a message, so I've got to wait. Than psychiatry. See? That's why books will always be the best. Hence, my psychodynamic explanation in a manner you may understand. Dr. Putin inclined his large leather chair and crossed his arms, tucking his hands under his armpits. There are things we want to do and things we feel we have to do. Charlie had a lot of things he thought he had to do. Most of them were to please himself, but they never did, or at least not in the long term. He was always thinking of what he didn't have. It made him unbearable sometimes, but what made it worse was that Charlie rarely listened to others. And so you had a guy who was achieving an immense amount, but would not be happy. If you suggested anything, he would just do whatever he wanted anyway. I had to leave an adjective out there because there's kids. Our Charlie was a rare bird. Your readers will love him and hate him all at once, like J.R. Ewing, but without the oil or the millions. I had asked Ferdinand the same question months earlier. In some ways, his response made more sense than anyone else's. Ferdinand pounded his cigarette into my ashtray, only half smoked, leaned back in his chair and unbuttoned his suit jacket like a character on Mad Men. He crossed his legs and did likewise with his chunky fingers. You know how the universe is constantly expanding? Ferdinand started. Well, some people do the same. I don't mean they get fat, but they evolve constantly. Charlie was constantly evolving, but backwards, like a reverse evolution. He started off as the Jetsons and evolved towards the Planet of the Apes. The almost human Roddy McDowell ape, but with less empathy for people. Like I said, Ferdinand put it the best. What was particularly clear was that this period in Charlie's life was the precursor to the disaster that was to follow. He built himself up to conquer the world and was able to do so when, for some strange reason, he threw it all away. This part of his life was the making of the empire he was about to destroy, as Ferdinand put it, pacing my office and flicking his cigarette ash over the floor repeatedly, like he had a tick, even where there was no ash at the end of the cigarette. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just thought that was a lovely part because one, Ferdinand's here, and he does have the annoying habit of smoking, which is but two, I thought he gives a glimpse really on Charlie's mind and into Ferdinand's mind, the way he's capable of make comedy or make light of Charlie's unique, I suppose, as Ferdinand said today, mental health issues. So as you see with it is autobiographical, and I had a lot of fun teasing myself and making fun of a lot of the mistakes I had, and that came through being able to write it in third person. So part 2 is more about the downfall, and part 1, I always say it's a young person's book. It's a coming of age book because Charlie's in his teens, searching for himself, looking for an identity and wanting a place in the world like we all constantly strive for. Another thing I'd like to say is where's Sebastian? Oh, there you are. Sebastian is the photographer who took this photo. Thank you very much. It was done a while ago, about 5 years ago. We spent a weekend together at my place, and for some reason, he ended up with photos of me naked, so that was great. Yeah. So some of the best work happens when you're half asleep. Any questions? Anyone want to know anything about the book or about the story or maybe something unrelated, something about psychology or philosophy? I know everything, so just... Yeah. I'm the opposite to Socrates. I only know I know everything. Any questions with regards to... Well, just saying, the book is available on Amazon. And as you know, Amazon is a very big, or the biggest book distributor in the world. And they have most books here. So on their site. If you go into the Australian or even to the American one, you'll see my book there. But I recommend the Australian because it's cheaper to send over. So they'll print it and send it over. And you can get the ebook, which is about $2 on ebook. And the audio book will come out with an actor reading it out. And that's a little bit more expensive because audio books are more expensive. But it'll be a lot of fun because he'll have his own take on it. So that's on Amazon. If you punch in Carlos Camacho, if you put in Carlos, you'll probably get Carlos Castañeda first. So you need to put Carlos Camacho, or at least CAM, and then go from there. Yeah. And then so there's 3 versions: ebook, paperback, and audio. Yeah, Angela. Angelina.
I was going to ask if you had any paper ones, paperback ones.
Yeah, and I've got some here too. And so you're more than welcome. We're just selling them a cost price for $20, and that's pretty much how much it costs to print and to send out to. On the website, you'll find that it'll cost almost $30. So yeah, they of course Amazon is a business; they got to make money. I don't think they're too worried about Carlos Camacho yet, though. Any other questions? No? Yeah. Again, thank you very much for coming. And I was going actually to read a part. Last time I actually read a part that was quite controversial about a cow. There was a part in part 1 that unfortunately the cow looked like the cow passed away, but it didn't. I can guarantee you, read part 2, the cow's back. And so anyone that was worried about the cow last time, it's back. And actually, if you read that part, that chapter is called I Shot the Sheriff's Cow in part 1. And it's because a lot of vegetarians and vegans have told me, oh, but you guys into too much details about shooting the cow. It's actually a pro-vegan chapter if you look at it, because it's a complaint about it. So all those that were offended last time, I apologise, but the cow's back in part 2. Yeah. I gave you the intro, Wayne. I talked about the cow. I gave you the intro. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for coming to Bonnarigg Library, and keep coming. Thanks.
Right. Well, thank you so much, Carlos. You've whetted everyone's anticipation, I guess, of being able to read this book. We also have the books for loan in the library. You are able to buy here off of Carlos, and we do have a copy of each one that we have kept in our heritage collection as a respect to a local author. So thank you all very much for coming. We appreciate it. Refreshments are just towards the back there. Please make yourself available of our tea, coffee, and some lovely looking food. And thank you again all for coming.
So I'd just like to also thank the dancers today, Tony and Maria. Wonderful. And I also want to thank some people that I haven't seen for a very long time. You want to say something? Oh, you got a question? It's finished, sorry. I've already been sentenced. What's the question?
So what led you to write the book? When did the light from God illuminate you to write the book? What?
That's a good question. I'm just going to be very quick because I know you guys are eyeing off the food. So it's going to be very, very, very quick. I don't know. Thank you. Hey, I've heard Dr. Cole on Triple J say I don't know. It's fine to say I don't know. There was a time in my life that I went through that was extremely difficult, and I never had the opportunity to have my say. So when I started writing it, I was overseas. I bought myself a little laptop, and I thought, I'm going to write the events for me, for my children, for my family, for my friend. Anyway, when I started writing, I realised, hang on, I've got to start from the start, really. That's a good spot to start. And I thought, no, you've got to know why Charlie did what he did because of what led him to that. And because you can't isolate an event of a person and say that person is like that, because things happen that go to us. So by the time I went back, I went to Charlie as a kid, and I realised this is an autobiography. So it's a fictional autobiography. And to tell the truth, Sebastian, by the time I got to the events of my life in 2008, 2009, where they seemed to have changed me as a person, it took 2 years to write. And when I got to that part, it wasn't important. And I skimmed through that part in part 2 really, really, really quickly. And it was very therapeutic to do so, so I'm glad I did. And hopefully it helps others as well, because when you're in that situation of difficulty, it seems like it's the most important thing in the world. You can't get out. But as time goes by and you start reflecting on it and how you can use it to change yourself, to better yourself and maybe help others if you can, then you can use that. Now, every time I have a problem or I think, should I do that or not? I always say to myself, well, if I do it and it goes great, that's fantastic. If it doesn't, I'll write another book about it. So there's your answer. Thank you very much.